Kind of thought we'd have had some more people here today, but we know that we've had the media all of a sudden recognising that this is the 5th anniversary. 5th anniversary of the riots, they called it. But whose riots were they? 5 years ago today, at this time, we came to this station. Before we came to this station, we sent messages to let them know that we was coming to this station. We know they received the messages because they sent back messages to say, we received your message, we'll be here when you come to the station. And when we got here, there was no one home. The few low-ranking officers that were in there told us that they were unable to talk to us because the investigation into the shooting of Mark Duggan was now under the control of the IPCC. We didn't accept that. We like that in Tottenham. So we demanded to talk to a more senior officer. They told us to wait. And we did. And we waited. And we waited. And we waited. Until we left, because that senior officer didn't arrive in the hour that they told us to wait for him. But we've subsequently seen a report from the Metropolitan Police Service. And it's absolutely clear that officer didn't turn up here at all. I'm going to go back and look through a little bit of the history. Because recently I know that there's been this eruption of young people taking to the streets and talking about Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives most certainly matter. Agree with everybody. All Black Lives Matter. Every time I put a tweet out that says Black Lives Matter, white people tweet me back and say all lives matter. And I agree with them. I tell them all Black Lives Matter. And the media want to come and they want to ask us questions because of what's going on with Black Lives Matter and what's going on here. So let me just say something that I've said previously. I support the Black Lives Matter in the USA that's struggling against the shooting, the extrajudicial murder of black people on the street. I absolutely support that spiritually, politically, and in every way I can. Just today we saw they shoot another young man in Chicago. It was like they was taking target practice as they chased this guy down and shot him to the ground and took his life. How could I not support that? That young man looked like me, looked like my children, could be me.
That's right.
But let me tell you this, and I say this to those young Black Lives Matter folk. I'm not laying down for Eric Garner. You know what I said? I ain't gonna lay down for Eric Garner when I can stand up for Jermaine Baker, when I can stand up for Mark Duggan, when I can stand up for Cynthia Jarrett, when I can stand up for Roger Sylvester, and when I can stand up for Joy Gardner. And I don't want to fool anyone. If you think I just know about the people who died in Tottenham, then I can tell you I would stand up for Smiley culture. I'll stand up for the black community here, and what I won't do is behave in a way that sends some subliminal message to the rest of Britain that somehow says that Britain is a post-racial society. Because I know that it's much, 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 much deeper than that. This isn't a post-racial society. This is where they do it by creep and sleep. You must have seen them this week. You must have seen them this week. Biggest gang in Tottenham when the gang leader, the commissioner, came out and started to boast. Yo, we now have 2,800 armed officers on super fast BMW motorbikes. 2 of them on each bike, you know. Right? Riding pillion with machine guns. They call themselves the counter-terrorism strategic firearm force. But what happens when there ain't no terrorism going on? Whose neck of the woods do you think they're going to be hanging out in? Who do you think they'll be using for target practice when they haven't got no so-called terrorists for them to eliminate? What parts of London do you think they're going to be hanging out? They're going to be ready to come to places like Tottenham.
That's right.
So in Tottenham we remember our fallen, and today we remember Mark Duggan, but we remember Cynthia Jarrett, killed October 1985. When they killed Cynthia Jarrett, they said that she was the most fattest, unhealthiest woman that they'd ever come across.
Imagine.
Right? They put out their smears as they always do. But remember what happened in an inquest. In an inquest, they decided that she died, it was accidental death, not natural causes. Every time you read about it in the paper, if you read about it in the paper, they'll tell you about Blakelock, they won't mention her.
That's right.
Blakelock died because of her.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you how unhealthy she was. Accidental death. That means she didn't die of natural causes. May 1993, Joy Gardner. Yeah, Joy was a massive criminal, man. She was big, man. You know what Joy did? She overstayed. She overstayed to stay in this wonderful country of ours. She was also a student going to college and trying to learn and better herself. But for overstaying, they went into her house and in front of their son, they wrote 14 feet of masking tape around her face, around her nose. So you all may have heard recently of Eric Garner saying, "I can't breathe," and we heard it very graphically, very graphically. But Joy Gardner would have said, "I can't breathe," if the 14 feet of tape wasn't around her face, suffocating her to death. And then after that, and then with Joy Gardner, they say she was the strongest woman they've ever met in their lives. The strongest woman they'd ever met in her life. But they went there with handcuffs, shackles, because before they wrote the 14 feet of masking tape around her, they shackled her. So they must have been used to this kind of experience, because they went there prepared to kill her. And whilst they strangled the life out of her, her 5-year-old son was in the corner and he watched everything. He'll be with us this evening as we watch the hard stop, folks. Roger Sylvester, they took him from Lawrence Road. They went into his flat. They want the world to think that they found him out on his road behaving like a madman, walking around naked. No. They went into his home and took him out of his home. A struggle ensued. They took him to St. Anne's Hospital, and in front of hospital staff, they squeezed the living daylights out of him. But that guy fought for 4 hours. 12 officers on him at one time squeezed the living daylights out of him. And he did scream, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And they said Roger Sylvester died of what? They say Roger Sylvester died from excitable delirium. Okay, so one was the world's most unhealthy, the other was the world's strongest, the other one was the world's craziest, so crazy that he worked himself up into such a delirium that he imploded and died. And then we get to brother Mark Duggan. They say that Mark was one of the top 40 gangsters in Europe.
Liar.
In Europe, you know.
Liar.
I mean, think of some of the gangsters that they have and that they're dealing with across Europe. They got all these different police departments specifically for dealing with gangsters, and they tell us that one was living amongst our midst.
Rubbish.
And they tell us that he was so bad that they had to bring in CO19 and SCD8, who are the undercover specialists. But get this, at the point that Mark Duggan gets killed, Trident, who the family believe, who we believe, were doing dirty dealings on the streets, putting guns on the streets, giving kingfishers guns, so when they give it to the Sprat, they could nick the Sprat to keep up their targets. When Trident actually went for Duggan, they called out all the Trident officers and left the armed officers back there. Now, does it make sense that they would go for one of the top 40 gangmen in the world, baddest gangman in Europe, and not bring armed officers, leave armed officers behind? The reason they did it is because they know that they were lying, and they also know that they were trying to cover up and stop us from finding out how they are responsible for flooding guns on our streets. Post Duggan, post the inquest, they've disbanded them as a murder squad, which says to us that the rest of the Metropolitan Police Service didn't know what Trident were doing. They disbanded them as a murder squad, and now they're gangbusters. They're chasing kids around on their estates, giving kids ASBOs. But guess what? There are less guns in the hood now. There are less guns in our community in London now that Trident has been disbanded than there was when Trident was one. Okay? So our community is continually being set up. And post Mark Duggan, post that perverse inquest verdict that said unarmed people that happen to be black can be shot and killed, and it can be deemed lawful, which is exactly what we're seeing in the United States of America on a weekly, if not daily basis. Right? Post that, we've had the shooting and killing of another young black man in our ends. Jermaine Baker. Now with Jermaine Baker, we're getting it really strange. Because with Jermaine Baker, the media's not telling us anything. You see, they're all here watching us today in the hope that we're going to do something mad for them to be able to go and sell some big photos.
Hell with the media. Trust it.
Right? But with Jermaine Baker, they're not saying nothing. Right? The only ones who's carrying it is the BBC. So let me tell you what the BBC told us recently. Because there's a court case going on. Those who are involved in whatever offence was being carried out at the time. And if you know, you would have been told that they knew that this was going to happen. They knew the car that Jermaine and the others would be in. That they were able to go and bug the car. So they're going to stop this. Let's be clear, they're going to stop this at any point. If they could identify the stolen car, put a bug in the car, they could have stopped it. But they waited for everybody to be in there, because this is the sexy, this is the Sweeney, this is the kind of policing we love. And they heard Jermaine say, if it comes on top, we're not going to get caught. We're going to drive away. That's right. That is akin to a man saying we're going to do a runner. That is akin to what we say when we say, hands up. Don't shoot. Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
So that is akin to a man with his hands up. And if we go back to Mark Duggan, the guy who did the video, the almost in real time video of what happened at Ferry Lane, what did he say? Duggan came out with his hands raised up. Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
So in America, in the UK, it seems that anybody has the colour of skin that we have becomes a target.
That's right.
A legal, legitimate target. And that's why people like us have to come out and stand up with families that have suffered and endured and have paid the ultimate cost, which is the loss of their loved ones.
Right.
That's why we have to come out and stand by them. So when people ask me, well, what do you hope to get, Stuff? You ain't going to get justice. They ain't going to give you a copper. You're not going to get nowhere. I tell them that what I get is a sense of pride in being able to stand by these families year after year.
That's right.
To be able to help them to remain resilient and strong year after year. Black lives matter. All black lives matter. But they won't matter to them until they matter to us first. People. Tottenham will remember as Tottenham only can. Next person to speak will be Sister Zita, organiser from Barrack.
Greetings everyone. I bring a solidarity message from my organisation, Black Activists Rising Against Cuts, Barrack UK, and also from my union, the Public and Commercial Services Union, and from the TUC Race Relations Committee, both of which I'm elected to. I'm here today to bring support and solidarity, and it's a shame and a stain on Britain that so many families, one after the other, having to come out to vigils, to march on the streets, to become activists overnight and fight for justice for loved ones who are killed at the hands of the state. And that's why my union, the TUC Barrack, support all of these family campaigns, and we fundraise. You know, the solidarity is important. Coming out today and marching and being at this vigil is important, but actually it costs money, it takes time, it takes energy, it causes stress and strain on families. Some family members have to give up their lives, their careers, their ambitions to fight for justice for their loved ones. So at the TUC and at the PCS, I'm proud that our black members and our Black Workers Conference at the TUC have run fundraising events and socials and dances to raise funds for the United Family and Friends campaign, for the Sarah Reid campaign, for the Mark Duggan campaign, and countless others. And we have to continue to do that.